Okay, so we are live, we're recording. The topic for today. Don't forget, you're writing grammar notes. These are going to go in your grammar notes. Don't forget to write the date. What's today's date? September 5th?
Wait, my birthday's in 19 days.
Happy almost birthday.
Wait, September 5th.
Yes.
I almost wrote August 5th. 2022. I'm like 2 days behind.
Yeah, time's flying, man. Okay, so our topic for today is relative clauses. Yeah, you're actually gonna like physically learn about them, or like officially
I
learn.
probably did learn about these.
I think I've like mentioned them when they've come up, and I've taught you how they worked. But now you're gonna have like actual grammar notes about them with examples and stuff. Okay. So just to kind of review, here's some vocab that you're gonna need to know, or like technical terms, also known as jargon, to refer to these things. Okay, so first and foremost, we've got two different types of clauses. You've got independent clauses and also known as main clauses.
Is that part of the vocab?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait, are we like writing a definition or just listing?
We're gonna give them definitions, I think, so that way you have something to refer to. Okay, so an independent clause or a main clause. Can someone tell me what that is, if they remember? So yeah.
They have subject and verb for the independent.
Okay, so nitty gritty wise, yes, but what makes it independent? How do we? It is a sentence,
It
Caitlin.
can stand on its own.
Yes, it's a clause that's independent. It can stand on its own and make sense.
Yeah. A dependent clause normally doesn't have a subject, right?
It.
Because if it goes like independent, comma, dependent, if it's independent.
In Latin, it
commas.
will. In Latin, it can. Yeah.
Depending, clauses all have a noun
A
and
clause that can stand on its own. Sorry. Okay. The next type of clause is subordinate. Or dependent clause. Okay, so it's the opposite, kind of. It's a clause that cannot stand on its own and needs support. Okay. Okay, another term that you're going to need to get comfortable with is the term relative clause. Okay, it's a type of subordinate clause that describes or modifies nouns or pronouns in the main clause. Okay. So far, how we doing? Okay, so we've got 3 terms you should be familiar with, and I'm about to hit you with, I think, 2 more. Okay. Now, within the relative clause, it is introduced by a relative pronoun. And the definition is a Q word.
That's fine.
That connects Okay, it's a keyword that connects the main and the relative clauses together. Okay, and we'll go over what those are. You actually know them already, though. You already know your relative pronouns. It's qui, quo, quod.
Oh, yeah, so, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yep.
took a second, but.
It's okay. Okay, and then the last vocab item that you should become comfortable with is known as the antecedent. Okay, now if we break up this word antecedent, all right, it's got 2 parts. Ante meaning before and kedo kedere meaning to go. So the antecedent then is the word that goes before the relative clause. Okay, it goes before, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So for our definition, let's just say, it's a noun or pronoun in the main clause about which the relative clause gives more information. Okay, so 5 terms. Hey,
Where's this pen?
I'm gonna highlight these. All right, so hopefully you guys will get comfortable using those terms. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Sorry, I'm thinking. That's my thinking face. Okay. So let's take a look at what this looks like in English. May I proceed and scroll past these definitions?
Pick the last one.
Can I keep the last one? Sure. Okay.
Is this like examples?
Yep, examples.
Okay.
But be sure when we write the examples to leave room to kind of like label stuff. Okay.
Wait, are there any classrooms, just like, I'm curious, are there any classrooms that are like extra warm, or are they just really all really cold?
I don't know. I'm only in this one.
Commons is really warm.
Oh yeah,
The singing room is
really.
really cold, but next to M4 on the left, that room is so hot.
Oh yeah.
But it's really nice going in there after.
Yeah.
No, really?
Yeah.
My dog like eats grass and he starts to.
Are we gonna have multiple examples? Like, should I?
Mhm. Yeah, so this is our first example. Okay, Rudy, who ate deer poo, threw up. Now, let's think about what's going on here. Could I just say, who ate deer poo?
No.
Not as a question?
No.
No, so what kind of clause is this? Who? This is, so it's a subordinate clause. And then more specifically, it's a relative clause. Okay, and we call it relative because it's relating information back to a word in the main clause. Okay, so who is the one that ate the deer poo?
Rudy.
Rudy. So we're learning more information about Rudy. Could I just say Rudy threw up? Yeah, because that's just, it's a subject and a verb, and that can stand on its own. So that consists, let's I guess label that. This and this together is the main.
Wait, does your dog play on poison ivy?
No, but I wish he would.
Because my dog always just goes to this patch of poison ivy, like on the walk and just pees on it, and now it grew like 3 times as large.
Oh, not good. I thought it would kill it. Never mind. Okay, now. Which word is my antecedent? Which word is getting more information told about? Rudy is. So Rudy, I'm going to actually write this in a different color so you can see. Rudy is my antecedent. And what word is my relative pronoun? Who? Are there a bunch of owls in here?
Did knock who? Is it just me or like when you explain a joke that makes it a lot less fun? Like if it's like a dad joke and then you explain it and then it just becomes not funny.
I mean, for me, I think explaining jokes is way more funny because then, like, it makes it worse.
I made a joke at Clash Challenges because we were playing Apples to Apples after, and no one got it.
Oh, that's the worst feeling.
You know,
Really?
it's
So
so
was
bad.
I there?
Yeah, like we were doing it like opposite, so like you played Apples to Apples, right? Okay, so the red card was pimples,
Ew.
right? And I put down the card popular.
Oh,
Get it?
I get it. I hate that. I hate that so much. That's terrible.
And no one got it.
Totally ewith. Okay, now, sorry, bringing it back to grammar. In the relative clause, right, within this chunk here, okay, it can have its own grammatical features. Okay, so technically speaking, what is the verb within the relative clause? Ate. Okay, so that would be a verb. What's the subject of the relative clause? Who? Yeah, which is referring to Rudy. And what is the direct object?
Deer poo.
Deer poo. Good. Okay. So you see how that works? It's almost like a parenthetical. Okay. All right, I know that was a lot of writing. Let's do a second example.
Oh, it's cool.
Okay. Second example, Miss Scoville loves Rudy, whose fur is fuzzy.
Are these all going to be about Rudy?
Well, why not?
Confusing.
It is confusing. That's why I picked it, or that's why I thought of it. Okay. So could I say whose fur is fuzzy?
No.
No. So what clause is this? Yep, subordinate. But more specifically, relative clause. Okay, because it's giving us more information about a word in the main clause, which could I just say Miss Scoville loves Rudy? And that makes sense? Yeah. Okay, so that's our main clause. Okay, now in the main clause, what's my verb?
Loves.
Good. Who's doing the loving? And who is being loved? Heck yeah, you betcha. Okay, now, the relative clause is giving us more information about whom. Yes. Okay, so Rudy is my...
Antecedent.
Very good. And my relative pronoun is... Yep.
Like, so does the antecedent, like, does the relative clause have to follow immediately after the antecedent?
Typically, yes.
Okay.
Good question. Yeah, so just for the video's sake, the relative pronoun follows the antecedent directly.
So like you couldn't say something about Miss Scoville right after Rudy, right?
No. If I were to say something about Miss Scoville, I could put a relative clause right after Miss Scoville. So I could say, Miss Scoville, who is a teacher at Stony Brook School, loves Rudy, whose fur is fuzzy. So you've got two subordinate clauses hanging off of that first main clause.
Okay, so you couldn't say like some, I don't know, but like you couldn't put something about Miss Scoville, like
Where Rudy's stuff would
Yeah.
go. Yeah, no, usually it's attached directly behind it. And that's why they're easy to recognize, the relative clause. Yeah. Like especially, and in Latin too, like that holds true. Usually the relative clause is going to follow directly behind the antecedent that it's giving more information about. Very good question. Because never say always, always say never. Never say die. What? I don't know. Sorry.
never say that.
My brain's like a toilet bowl. It just goes like, meow.
Sorry, that
That's,
got me.
that's the best way to explain what goes on up here, if anything at all. Lights on, no one's
I thought
home.
you were saying... Never mind.
I don't know what I was saying. I don't think
No,
anybody knows.
I heard this. Wait, what did you say? Like just now? Like about like
Never say never.
no after that.
My brain goes like a.
Toilet bowl?
After that.
Oh wait.
Oh, I'm
know
just
what I'm
explaining
saying.
how my brain goes.
Oh wait,
There we
it's
go. I thought you were saying you were explaining how to stand on a pier. Like
How to stand on
I don't know. I heard pier.
Interesting. Interesting.
Pier. You know,
So
like,
like
a
P-
bull, like a bull.
Wait, so it's
Um,
pure like P-E-A-R or like P-I-E-R? Which peer are you talking
I didn't spell it in my brain.
Or P-E-A-R. Oh, that's pear. All right, so here's my question for you. Let's take a look at the relative clause here and kind of zoom in on that. What's my verb? Is, good. And it's a linking verb, so this is a little confusing. What's the subject? Yes. So then what is this relative pronoun then?
Relative pronoun.
Yeah, what case is that? Whose? What's another way to say that? I'll give you a hint. Rudy, the fur of whom is fuzzy. The fur of whom is fuzzy.
Genitive.
It's genitive, yeah.
That was
I did not.
Okay, now do you see why I want you guys to translate with of every time you see a genitive? So that way it is undoubtable, okay? No question about it. So Miss Scoville loves Rudy, the fur of whom
Ooh.
is fuzzy.
Okay.
So that just like, that helps you compartmentalize and see like what actually is genitive when you use the of, right? Because if I didn't say of whom, would you have known that it was genitive?
No.
I mean, maybe after a little bit of explaining, but nobody's got time for that, you know? Okay, and this is a predicate, nominative, I guess.
How do you know, like, obviously we know that Rudy's a dog and Scoville's a human. But, like, how do you know? Because it could be Miss Scoville loves Rudy whose fur is fuzzy, and it could
Then wouldn't it be
Rudy
Miss
loves Scoville.
if he was talking about Miss Scoville, it'd be Miss Scoville whose fur is fuzzy and loves Rudy.
Because like this, and that's what Tiffany asked before. The relative pronoun has to go directly behind the antecedent. So it's like, it has to. So you can't have a sentence where we have, like, this has to apply to Rudy because the relative pronoun follows directly behind him. If I wanted to say Miss Scoville is, whose fur is fuzzy, like, I'd have to put it directly behind Miss Scoville's
Rudy
name.
loves Miss Scoville.
Rudy does love Miss Scoville. He does. He gives her like hugs. He's like,
Aww.
he gets so excited when he sees her.
I have a
question.
Mm-hmm.
Fuzzy, is that a predicate adjective or?
I put PRN as in predicate nominative because I'm in Latin brain, but it is technically a predicate adjective.
Wait, but like in like Latin grammar, it's always gonna be a predicate nominative. Like if it's something equals.
Yeah, because you could say like, the woman is a teacher, right? Woman and teacher are both nouns, but you could say the woman is ugly, right? Ugly is an adjective, but either way, teacher and ugly would be in the nominative case. So it's like kind of like a catch-all. It's a predicate nominative.
Oh, so it doesn't matter what it is, but it's a predicate.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to be specific, like, oh, it's an adjective, or oh, it's a noun, you could say that, but you don't necessarily need to in Latin. Yeah, you may. Good luck in there, don't fall in. I hope you can swim.
I'm probably gonna.
We should. Why did they cancel a life jacket though?
Didn't you get in trouble for that?
Yeah,
Wait, why though? It's such a good idea.
we're recording. Okay, I can't say anything too spicy on the record. Let's see.
Oh wait, I forgot.
Okay, any questions about this?
No.
No? Okay, so let's see what this looks like in Latin. Sorry, this is like kind of boring. Whoops. Now, in Latin, it gets a little more complicated, but really not that much. How are you guys feeling about relative clauses in English?
Good.
You feel pretty confident about them? We actually use them a lot. What I'd like you guys to do is kind of like part of your homework, not like official homework, but like just kind of low-key homework. Start listening to and thinking about like what you say and what other people are saying, or think about what you're reading. I think you're going to notice actually how many times we use relative clauses in everyday life. You hear them all the time. You just might not be aware of it.
You don't process it since you hear something.
Exactly. But if it's fun to kind of like think about language as like something that's always occurring. You just have to be like aware enough to pick it out and see it.
Do it in really boring other classes. Unlike mine. Be like, oh yeah,
Wait, but like, when you talk with your friends,
just think
you
about
don't really
like,
like have a perfect grammar.
You don't use that.
Like,
But you don't need perfect grammar to use relative clauses.
You just talk.
You just talk and you'll see it. Like it's a very common occurrence.
so if you say like, Sam, the one with the ginger hair, is that relative?
Sam, the one with the ginger hair. I think technically the one with the ginger hair.
That sounds weird. Like when
It
you
does.
say that in a
That
conversation.
actually sounds grammatically
Wrong. Yeah.
wrong.
That's,
I think if you were to be like grammatical about it, you could say Sam, who has ginger hair, blah blah blah.
See, but
Yeah, well,
that's
we don't,
like-
we don't say
But you guys don't
that.
talk like that?
We don't talk like
Okay, so then maybe listen to how adults speak.
No, I think like you don't really talk how you write, like
Yeah.
grammatically.
We
Like
say
Sam,
the one.
which one? The one with the ginger hair.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess. All right. Point taken. I guess I was just hopeful. Yeah.
Do we always need like a who, whose, whom after?
To start a relative clause, yes. And that's what makes it so easily recognizable. So here's your example to show you what that looks like. Now, the annoying thing is that in English, commas and punctuation help you recognize relative clauses, but in Latin, they don't always put them in. Okay, because remember, punctuation, did the Romans use it?
No.
No, that's an English convention.
Wait, should we leave like a line like above?
I would, yeah. Leave a line above and a line below. Sorry, did that just ruin someone's day? Okay. So in this sentence, could I say sensically, Cornelia est puella? Does that stand on its own?
Yes.
Right? Cornelia is a girl. And that totally makes sense. I'll write the so skip a line and then you can write the translation underneath. Okay, now, quai. Good. And that's, so what do we call that? What is quai?
Relative pronoun.
Yeah. I'm gonna just abbreviate relative pronoun. And so that means puella then is my,
Oh. Dude.
it goes before, so what is it?
Oh, antecedent.
It's the antecedent.
That was really loud.
Okay. So Cornelia is a girl who habitat in Italia. Yep.
Wait, so it's modifying pronoun?
Yep. So the relative clause is modifying puella. I mean, technically it could be arguable. It's modifying both because Cornelia and the girl are the same thing. So it's a linking verb sentence. So maybe this was not the best first example to give, but that's okay. Sorry, my bad. My bad. Okay. So our main clause. Do I need to mark up the main and the subordinate, or are you guys cool with that?
Okay.
All right. What I'm going to start having you guys do, though, when you see a relative clause, I'd like you to underline it.
Can you like highlight it?
Underline it. Because when we do markup, like it'll visually stick out to you. Yes,
Can I scratch it?
you can. Okay. So if we were to mark this up, Cornelia est puella, right?
Why is there a comma between girl and who?
In English?
Yeah.
In English, that's how you do it, I think. There has to be, and that's what I was saying before, like in English, the punctuation will help you identify relative clause. Like if you go up and look at these two examples, I actually look at the first example, that relative clause, that's why I tell you it kind of reads like a parenthetical. The sentence doesn't need it to stand, it's just extra information kind of like inserted into the main sentence. So in English, the way we like mark that off is commas on both sides to indicate like a pause. So if you were to read this out loud, you would say, Rudy, who ate deer poo, threw up. You heard the pause? I wouldn't just say, Rudy, who ate deer poo, threw up.
Oh.
Right, it's
I
just
might
like-
say it like that, but
I mean, you might, but you also,
I mean, it's wrong, but like, couldn't you see it?
you could say that, but you'd be wrong.
I was sitting on lead from a pencil.
Tiffany, who was sitting on lead from a pencil, decided to exclaim to the class that she was sitting on lead from a pencil.
And I didn't even use mechanical pencils. I've been sitting on this the entire
I
time.
didn't notice.
Tiffany, who doesn't use mechanical pencils, decided to exclaim that she doesn't use mechanical pencils to the class.
I feel like it just sounds like a audiobook on like 2 times.
No, it's like the audio description. It's like one of those audio settings for like movies. If you go on like the DVDs, I know I'm like dating myself, but you can do like audio descriptive English, and it's like she looks at the photo. It just describes what's going on in the movie.
And it's like she looks at the photo. Explosion happens.
Yep. Sound heard in distance. There goes a horse galloping, and Tiffany is on it, holding a mechanical pencil.
Really funny. That was an actual movie.
But I feel like the sentence works without the comma. Cornelia is a girl who lives in Italy.
So, Miss Scoville. I should just call her right now. Just kidding.
Don't have to come out.
Wait, does she have class right now?
She's actually sick right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw the email.
Yeah. I'll ask her later, actually, because you're right, Lisa. It sounds right. Cornelia is a girl who lives in Italy. I'm gonna ask about it.
It's because I think there's something connecting to whether this is like important or like like if I say I have a sister whose name is blah 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 blah, because I only have one sister, so I don't need the comma.
I wonder if it's because it's not nested in the main clause. Like if I were to say Cornelia, who lives in Italy, is a girl, then you would probably need the commas, right? But because it's like on its own, maybe you don't need it. Let's see.
Cornelia is a.
Because it could work without a comma, couldn't it?
Yeah, that's what she's. I think it is correct to not have the comma here. I think you're not supposed to have it. My Latin brain just like puts it in there. Let's see. Commas and relative clauses.
I have a question.
All right, according to this sketchy worksheet
Sketchy word.
that I found in a preliminary Google search, if the relative clause is essential, no commas are needed. But if the relative clause is providing the reader with some additional information, commas are used. What does that even mean?
Wait, but
It was
if
like
it's a
already-
relative
But aren't
clause,
relative clauses like never actually
they're
needed
never like
because they,
essential to the
yeah,
sentence.
because it's a dependent clause, so the.
It is best
the
not to stroke a
sentence is
dog.
Wait, I think I understand. It's like if it's like wait, why am I studying up? Anyways, I was going to throw this out. That's fine. Okay. So I think it means that. So like if you're talking about like your sister, but you only have one sister, you put commas there. So
Wait,
it's like
why was I just thinking about that? I was literally just thinking that.
Okay, so here I'm looking at this
I remember
sheet.
when you were in ink, it was like if you only have one of it, you put commas, but if you have more than one, you don't put commas because like you have to be like my sister. Like if you only have one sister, you put my sister, comma blank, comma, right? But like if you had like more than one sister, you'd be like my sister, like and say which one of your sister it is because you have more than one sister, so it's necessary that because you have more than one sister, so you couldn't tell who you're talking about.
Okay, so I think it's just a question of whether something is essential versus non-essential. Here's the difference. Okay. If that information is essential, here's an example in English.
Should we write it?
Honestly, maybe. Because this I'm actually learning now too. We're learning
What should
together,
we write?
guys.
What is this?
It's how where we put the commas in English.
Is that stroke?
Stroke, yeah. So it is best not to stroke a dog whom you do not know. Okay. I think this is considered, so this is my relative clause here, whom you do not know. There's no comma because this information is essential to what's being conveyed, right? You could stroke a dog, like any dog, but specifically the ones you don't know are the ones you should not pet. And that's why it's like giving you information that's like crucial to what's going on in the sentence. Whereas, you could say, cats who are lazy often sleep for most of the day. Okay, so if you see, you could say, because it's like we're not talking about a specific cat, we're kind of just giving general information. It's almost non-essential. So, and you could say cats often sleep for most of the day. The who are lazy is kind of like not really giving us that much more, and it's not terribly specific. Does that make sense? So we put the commas around that. Another example, dinosaurs, which are now extinct, are said to have ruled the earth. Okay, that would have commas because it's non-essential information. You could just say dinosaurs are said to have ruled the earth. Another one, students who concentrate in class often do better in tests. Essential or non-essential?
Wait, can you say that?
It is essential. Students who concentrate in class often do better on tests.
Oh, because you're like specifying like which students.
Like not all.
Yeah. Yep,
So you don't need commas for that one?
because it's essential.
Could you still add commas? Like, could you
I don't
still
know.
add a comma?
I don't think
I'm
it's
not sure.
grammatically
I
correct
don't think so
because
because if it's like students who concentrate.
I remember doing the writing practice on it.
This
But it
is a
could be, like,
Scoville question.
students who concentrate in class.
Yeah, but then you're like
Assuming all
that
students
all
are
students
concentrate.
in class.
Yeah, which is not
What?
true.
Wait, this
You're
If
assuming
you
that all
ask
students
for the
concentrate in
first
class.
example, if you say it is
Like-
best not to stroke a dog whom you do not know because it's morally wrong, do you need commas?
Like if
you
you're
have
saying
more
students who are
information
concentrating
for
in
that.
class often do well on the test, you're saying that
If you say
students
because it is
who
morally
are
wrong, that would
concentrating
be
in
like-
class,
Because
Right, but
it's
that's the same.
After,
Wouldn't that just be a dependent clause? It wouldn't be
Like, think about taking.
That would be another dependent clause, so you're just tacking on another dependent clause. I think the essential, non-essential rule still applies.
But if it's just
It's
more
just the same with positive.
don't you need a comma between,
Because that's what
like,
it takes, the
from-
same thing.
It is
You
best
just-
add
This is like a
whatever
Yeah.
you're not thing.
Let's go.
Like if you don't add the comma, that means like it is essential. Like if you add the commas, that you assume that it is.
I know, but I'm not.
I think you would just go straight into the because. I don't think there would be any
So,
commas in that.
would that be a run-on sentence then?
Yes. Yes, it probably would be a run-on sentence, but it, I mean, grammatically though, it still would be okay.
Wait, what's a run, what's like the grammatical definition of a run-on sentence?
If you have subject and verb, like if you have two subject and verb, then it's not divided.
It's just so confusing.
I agree.
Okay, so a run-on sentence, it wouldn't be.
It is a subject, it becomes
Can I use the restroom?
Oh,
Yes.
makes sense.
So a run-on sentence is just when there's two independent clauses that run together without proper punctuation or appropriate conjunctions.
I have English and Latin as my first two classes. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
I have English first tomorrow.
Same.
Okay.
Wait, you're in my English?
Yes, Jason.
Oh wait,
It's fine, I didn't know, I didn't realize I was in yours.
Oh,
Wait,
you
so-
so Jason, are you not?
You're in my English class?
you sit like 2 seats away from me.
I didn't learn anything regular slash.
Okay.
So Joanne sat next to me and then you sat next to me.
I learned
Yeah.
about checking.
Alright, so I'll ask about those.
I didn't realize.
You guys know you're being recorded, right? Everything you're saying is
I'm
being
just saying
recorded.
that I'm a good student.
Yeah.
I heard.
Okay, so one thing I do want to point out here, I'm actually going to get rid of these, or move them at least for just a moment. Get out. Okay, let's do another example.
I don't have room.
Oh no.
Cause I wrote like.
Oh, I see.
No.
Sorry.
Why's my pen not working? It's like a day old. Sorry. It's like no ink is coming out.
I was thinking in my mind that weir is pronounced as a W and then I wrote a W.
It's a lot.
That happens a
Try
lot.
that on page. I don't want. Okay.
Okay. All right, so here it's a similar sentence structure. Okay, we've just kind of changed who the subject is. Yeah. Okay. So we've got my antecedent. What's the word that's the antecedent?
Oh.
Okay, and the word that's my relative pronoun? Qui. Now, how is it possible that qui and qui both mean who, though?
Different gender.
Mm-hmm.
Be quiet.
Qui, qui, quod. Yep. Okay, so there are a couple rules here. This is going to be like the big takeaway. But we'll practice this next time. And we didn't even get to the fun stuff. I mean, grammar is super fun. I love grammar, but we didn't get to the...
Wait, this lesson was fun. It was really fun. Time passed. Like passes all my classes class because it's actually like interesting.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
It like depends what you do.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes it can get pretty boring. Okay, so this is the big takeaway. The form...
I have Latin and then calculus, and that's it. It's really easy. And then except for the verses.
Well, we didn't do the translation.
Because like Latin and calculus
Oh
are
my gosh,
my hardest classes. Like calculus
Latin's
is
not easy.
like no offense to Latin.
easiest class? For me, it
Yeah, for me too.
Well, because like Latin makes a lot of
is.
sense.
Or maybe like Chem.
Because like Latin just makes sense, you know. It's not really weird like English.
Latin's one of my hardest classes.
I mean, To be fair, mine
Sure, it's
is
my easiest.
not my easiest
Oh, yeah,
class.
that's true.
I think that'd be like
Same.
calculus or chemistry for me.
Miss Slade, what year did you start teaching?
Like 3 years ago.
Wait, you started teaching her COVID year, right?
Miss
Or, like,
Lee came
after
when I
COVID?
came. Like, so COVID started,
When we were in
and then I
seventh
came.
grade?
In 2020?
Yeah, I came in 2020.
Yeah, me and Miss Lake started in Stony Brook at the same time.
That's right, Barnhouse Forever.
so cute.
I started the same time as I
Wait, so that means you came the same year that we came in 7th grade?
Mhm.
Oh.
Literally, Caitlin, if you were a year older, okay, so if I were here in 7th grade, I would have been in high school with my chem teacher. She graduated in 2019.
Yeah.
That's
actually crazy.
Who?
I don't even know her last name.
Barrientos.
Allison Barrientos.
Who's
That's why I was asking when
She
she
used to go
started
there.
teaching, because
She was my mom's student.
Okay, so these are the big takeaways that I'd like us to get from today. We didn't exactly do very many examples that illustrate this, so next time when we come together, we're going to do some examples. But your homework this evening is actually going to be more fun.
Sorry, Caitlin, I just whacked
You're
your arm.
good, you're good. Wait, can I take a picture of this because the phone's gonna?
Yeah. But I also record the lectures too.
You have 25 seconds.